Are you 100% sure?
100%. Northwood Public School is a completely different one. Yeah. And the date, I'm not trying to hit you with some fake news. I tried, okay? What's your problem, bro?
Overall, the T is losing support broadly across the political spectrum. And that's not a good thing. So it seems like even people who are on the left side of the spectrum, the more progressive people, are starting to become more hesitant about their own willingness to just accept narratives from trans advocacy, and are being a little bit more skeptical. And so, like, for instance, like the Anna Kasparian situation, that's actually not an uncommon thing among progressives right now. It's kind of a growing sentiment that I'm hearing more and more about. So I'm still waiting on the numbers for this.
I'm comfortable enough to use the N-word around you, and then you can record it, and then if I do some shit, you can out me on Twitter later so that you get like your racial revenge on me.
Hey, Destiny.
What do you want?
What do you think about this? There's another incident just happened recently here in Canada where there was some kind of pride day at the school and a bunch of the students didn't show up and then the teacher lost it.
Are you talking about didn't you make a video on this like a month ago?
No, there's a new one that just happened like 2 hours ago. It's another school. It's an elementary school this time.
I don't know why. I just don't think you should have Pride Day in schools. It's too political right now. I don't think. Yeah, I just think it feels dumb to me. But
so there's no Pride Day. That's it.
I personally don't think so. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like why? Like,
you don't think it's a good idea to show support to your LGBTQ fellows?
None of this is about LGBTQ anymore, okay? It's all about the T. That's the only thing all of this is turned into. So pride is about the T, the flag is about the T, LGBT is about the T. So it basically, like, I might be premature, but it feels like gay people, like, nobody cares that much anymore. Like, I don't even know. I don't know how the Muslims are in your country, but I think even Muslims in my country don't give a fuck about gay people anymore. But like the pride and everything is all about like the T stuff. And obviously that's like the most divisive social political issue right now. So why put it in the school ground for people to fight over? Like, it seems stupid.
I would say that I think we've gone to a point where the status quo when it comes to, the LGB is definitely tolerance. It may not be fully on acceptance, but they tolerate where they're like, you are what you are, and I'm not cool with it, but I'm not going to get in your face about it. Which, I don't know if that's a terrible place to be. I think that's pretty decent for the most part. Do you agree or disagree?
Say that one more time?
That maybe there's not a full-on acceptance, but there is tolerance. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me, but who knows? Like, people are pointing out on my show, it's like, oh, well, actually, some people are getting against gay rights. Yeah, because of the trans stuff. I literally think it's that. I think that if we have a backslide on LGBT rights in the United States or Canada, it's probably going to be a response to the hardcore trans stuff, I think. That's why I don't like grouping it all together. I don't like grouping it all together either, because I think there are undeniable, solid arguments to support lesbian, gay, and bisexual people. But the trans stuff is way more divisive and implies so much more. Like, I don't like that T got grouped in with everything else now, because it's like, we don't have to change the structures of society, and we don't have to change people's understandings of the world that much for lesbian and gay people. But for the trans stuff, when we're talking about like medicines for children and like all sorts of other stuff, like it's a way, way, way broader topic. And it feels unfair that the activist T movements have like hitched themselves onto every other minority movement for credibility. I don't think that's a fair thing to do, but.
Yeah. Hold up. I'm going to just send it to you because this came fresh off the press. I just didn't, even if I was for it, let's say I granted, like, all right, cool, I'm for Pride Day. Honestly, personally, I think pride in school is not a terrible idea. I just think it matters to me how they run the curriculum. Like, the same way if they want to have a Black History Month, I don't really care that they want to teach history stuff about it. I just think some of the other activities they might engage in during that school period can be a little bit weird depending on the school. So I'm actually okay with pride. I think it depends on how they run it.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the issue. Like, if pride was literally like, here's the flag, and like gay people and trans people should have rights in schools or whatever, then it's fine. Fuck it, that's fine. But the problem is, it feels like another invitation to have like the most socio-political divisive issue now in school battlegrounds. And like, it only takes like 2 schools doing some dumb shit for it to like dominate the headlines for another like 2 months. It's just like, I don't know, like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Me, what I just didn't understand is where people thought it was appropriate for teachers to talk like that to students. Am I crazy in thinking that's a wild way to talk to students?
What do you mean, about which particular thing?
Well, I think at one point the lady, I think she's just talking to the students and about how hateful she thinks it is
Wait, hold on. You linked this tweet from today. This is a month or two old, isn't it? I feel like I watched you make a video on this, and I'm pretty sure that
No, this is a different one. This is a different one.
Are you 100% sure?
100%. Northwood Public School is a completely different one. Yeah. And the date, it's a June 20th apology, so it's a different one, yeah. The other one was a school in Edmonton. This one's in Windsor, Ontario, so it's definitely a different one. I think the audio just came out, but the story broke a little while ago. There was like an apology on like June 20th. So this is new. The audio is new. Yeah. Actually, if you look at the tweet thread, he actually links to the other incident at a different school, the one that I had referenced.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, I'm not trying to.
No, you're right. I do see it. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hit you with some fake news. I tried, okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm just making sure because it's obviously it's very similar. It's a teacher going on a group of Muslim kids for not being tolerant of LGBT people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going off on elementary students, is that correct?
Yeah. She's talking about how hateful and hurtful it was, and that they were absent during the Pride event specifically.
I don't know if there's like an avenue for this through the administration of the school, but I feel like what should be criticized is the teacher's reaction, not so much that the Pride celebration at the school.
I mean, like, I think that argument will, like, realistically in the real world, I agree with you, but the argument only goes so far, right? Like, it's not the problem of the LGBT stuff, it's the teacher at school. It's not the problem of the LGBT pride stuff, it's the few people at the pride event that decides to sexualize it. It's not the problem with the LGBT stuff, it's that some people are crazy activists on Twitter. It's not the problem with the LGBT stuff, it's that some people are crazy about the athletic stuff. Like, at some point, like, people are going to look at you and be like, oh, okay, not you in particular, but, like, people will look at you when he's saying that. It's like, okay, well, there seems to be, like, a common undercurrent here. There's a common thread. And while I can agree that, like, maybe it's not fair, I mean, at some point, it's like, obviously, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are also hitching themselves to the movement in a way that is, I think, not really related to what the trans rights is about or should be about. And we definitely need to be calling out our bad actors more. But it really seems like a major loss to sacrifice being supportive of queer folk in school and such, to sacrifice that over the bad actors.
It's just that the trans stuff implies so much more that I just don't know if it's fair to group it together, right? You don't need like medications or treatments to be gay or lesbian. You don't need to do things or alter like the development of children for gays or lesbian. We don't have to redefine like competitive social categories like sports for gays or lesbians. We don't have to change the way that we refer to people or use new pronouns for gays or lesbians. Like the trans stuff implies so much more radical social change that to throw that onto like the LGBT stuff, it's like, oh, look, it's all the same. Or it's like basically the same thing as like black people marrying white people. Like, you know, if you're against miscegenation or whatever, you should be in favor. Like, it's just, there's so much more that's implied to all of it that I feel like hitching it onto the other stuff is a little bit unfair.
Well, the LGB Alliance talks about this issue as well. I mean, like, obviously there's some who have more like, you know, we don't support trans people who are part of the LGB Alliance, but their core argument is very much what you stated there, is that the T implies so much more and makes it so much more difficult to do, like, first to retain what success the L, the G, and the B have had, but also to do further advocacy for. Because there's so much of packaging along with it. And this is something like I've argued for this for a long time as well, is that I think as trans people, we kind of like need to do our own advocacy and not rely so much on hitching ourselves to the LGBT, because of the fact that what I've seen historically, being involved in a lot of this stuff and doing activism and such and working with LGBT organizations, is that the T gets deprioritized. It always becomes about the L and the G, right? And they're the ones who kind of get like all the attention. Even the B doesn't really get attention and doesn't really get a lot of support. So that was something I used to argue about years ago. And now it's kind of like, yeah, it's become this complicated mess of so many things. I think even like trans advocacy has its own issues where we're trying to lump in so many things instead of prioritizing the key things that would really move things forward for us, that we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot with our advocacy and our activism, even just as the T alone. So I think I think there's going to need to be a lot of reassessing of what priorities are, but I don't want to just sacrifice Pride, like Pride Month and Pride support at schools because of these bad actors, because I think that's going to be more detrimental, more immediately detrimental.
What's going to be more immediately detrimental?
If we actually sacrifice it, like if people stop doing Pride support at schools.
I just think that, I feel like the Pride flag is like the perfect example of how like destroyed like activists have made the Pride movement.
A progressive Pride flag.
Yeah, no, isn't that the Pride flag now? I'm pretty sure that's the default. Yeah.
Is that the one with all the rainbows and then the trans people?
It's got like the brown person stripe, the black
yeah.
person stripe, and the trans person shit or whatever. Yeah. Like the rainbow is just like all the colors of the rainbow. It's simple, it's easy, it makes sense. Like the whole visible spectrum right there for us to, and then just like adding all this like cringe, I was almost gonna say gay shit, but it's not even, it's more than that. It's just all this like it's just so stupid, and then it's just so dumb. I'm over it. I don't know what to say. I'm just so over it. It's so cringe. And like, that's it. That's all I got. Like my bandwidth is like maxed out on all that cringe shit. And it's just like all of it has become like so stupidly like self-destructive. And yeah, I don't know.
You know, though, historically speaking, every time you said you're done with it, you're moving on from it, you're not talking trans issues anymore, it comes up again. And
no,
when I say I'm
done with it, I don't mean I'm never talking about it again. What I mean is that like my patience for entertaining these types of arguments is at zero. That's what I mean.
Yeah, you're kind of like whittling down to the core things that you think that you can consistently support and not
or that I would care about. Like if I did like some fucking, like if we do canvassing and somebody was like talking about like hanging up like a fucking rainbow flag in our auditorium, if we were like hyping up canvassers, like I'd go for it. I would shoot down that abomination of a new flag every single time. Like I just don't want anything to do with it. I think it makes everybody involved look stupid. I don't know.
Maybe this is a bit of a tangent, but I feel like I hate the term people of color for the similar reason. I hate the lumping of everything like that as if it's all similar or of equal measure or equal struggle or even similar. I hate it. And so
look at you selling out to the white man.
I know, right? It's just like, no. I mean, if anything, it's kind of the opposite. I think it's like, I think everything should be dealt with in its own accordance. And I think grouping everything as like, can all the people who are not white just get together in this corner? I just kind of feel as though it's a bit cringe.
Yeah, it really is. I know you and I talked about this a while ago, but yeah, like the whole like people of color thing, that was supposed to be more of like an academic kind of thing, to be able to speak about black people in a way that was more inclusive and not as demeaning.
That 50 to 100 years ago, I think there were legitimately reasons why you almost could group treatment of non-whites in this country in a certain way. Like I think you could speak meaningfully about it. But I think today, a lot of different communities have a lot of different presence across a lot of different like media vectors, whether it's TikTok or Twitter or Hollywood or whatever, that the term is a bit meaningless now. And I think that to some people's horror, like I would say that I think we're past almost all of the simple racist and sexist problems in the US and maybe even Canada. Like I think we're past like a lot of the simple shit. So now if we want to solve issues, we've got to be willing to dive a little bit deeper into the conversations than just white versus POC or man versus woman or BIPOC or whatever. Like we have to have a little bit more of a sophisticated conversation. Otherwise it just devolves into everything being like white supremacy and bigotry and Nazism, and it's like we're not getting anywhere.
I think it's also just not useful for advocacy. I think the issues facing different communities are very different. Mm-hmm. So when you just go at every conversation with POC, it just jumbles everything up together. And I think that's also why the political advocacy groups are different for each racial group generally. Like the Asians generally have their own advocacy groups for a lot of things when they're trying to advocate for new legislation. So I don't know. For me, when I hear the term POC, I think it's both not useful because it doesn't speak to a lot of the issues of each group, and two, it's not great for political advancement either.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm actually in a conversation right now in DMs with somebody talking about like this very thing of just having way too many things shoehorned into the political advocacy for trans issues, and the difficulty that it's causing us, and the image issues that it's causing us as well. And this is something I'm still looking into, so I don't have all the data ready to go right now, but I'm definitely noticing, and I'm hearing from other people who do this kind of research, that overall the T is losing support broadly across the political spectrum. And that's not a good thing. So it seems like even people who are on the left side of the spectrum, and the more progressive people, are starting to become more hesitant about their own willingness to just accept narratives from trans advocacy. And are being a little bit more skeptical. And so, like, for instance, like the Anna Kasparian situation, that's actually not an uncommon thing among progressives right now. It's kind of a growing sentiment that I'm hearing more and more about. So I'm still waiting on the numbers for this, and it's something I want to do a lot more coverage of. But it's concerning, and I think it has a lot to do with this trying to throw everything into the basket, including some of the really outlandish stuff.
Yeah. I can confirm. If you guys knew the amount of progressive women who've contacted me in private being like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm like, yo, I'm about to get my dick sucked. But it's just good to know that there are actually a lot of progressives who do feel some way about a lot of the rhetoric coming from the outside.
Women. Yeah. Can we get someone on here to like push back on this so it's not a circle jerk? Otherwise I gotta leave.
Well, love you, buddy.
All right, see you later, guys.
Yo, Destiny, why are you so jaded, bro?
Why what?
Why are you so jaded? What's your problem, bro?
It's just politics is so boring right now, and red pill shit is how I'm completely exhausted on that. And Republicans just want to talk about Hunter Biden's cock and fucking trans people, and it's just so everything's so boring. I'm gonna start doing research for like JQ shit, and like I don't know. Fuck me.
How do you feel about this Just Stop Oil people? Do you think that their protests make sense considering they believe that the world is going to end?
No, just they're stupid too. We have to have like there needs to be a realistic off-ramp towards green energy. We can't just stop consuming oil. None of these motherfuckers are going to turn their lights off, at 6 p.m. every night. Like, it's, yeah, because there's going to have to be a massive decrease in energy consumption if we're still waiting for green energy to come online. And obviously the Western world is not going to happen, so...
Do you think that their worries and concerns are valid?
Yeah, of course.
I think especially considering the recent energy crisis that happened as a result of the recent wars, like I think it kind of heightened people's sensibilities to like energy sources. Because I think for a lot of us, a lot of it just feels unlimited. Like we just don't even think that any of this is finite because we've always had access to it, so we take it for granted. So I think the crisis, whether it exists or not, is not really present in anybody's mind because we've never really had to struggle for energy for most of us in the Western world.
Sure.
So I think it's good that they're raising awareness for it. Maybe the methods are kind of wild to me, but from their point of view, like the world's going to end. So who cares if you can't get to work on time or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would you counsel them to do better?
I would have to... Wow, the Dan Dangler. Thank you for the 2,448 viewer host. I love you and your streams very much. How would I encourage to be more effective advocates? I mean, like I said, arguments about... The problem is that 99% of the arguments about like fossil fuels are moral arguments, and 99% of the arguments need to be economic arguments. That's all it is. Like we have to figure out like what are the best ways to use government policy to encourage people to do more investment and research into green energy. Like that's where the conversation starts and stops. The moralizing of all and everything doesn't help anybody. Like the reality is like nobody's shutting off their AC in the summer. Nobody's going to stop driving their cars. Nobody's going to stop consuming so much power for their computers and their phones and all this shit. Like yeah. I feel like you need to, it has to be like an economic conversation, but people don't seem to want to have that. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's all moralized, so it's stupid.
Yeah. Do you, I hear a lot of people talk about the fact that nuclear energy is probably the way going forward, but I've heard a lot of rhetoric against it. What are your thoughts?
Nuclear energy, based on everything I've seen, seems like the obvious way forward. It just has a really, really bad PR problem. People really don't like nuclear.
Is it because of the bombs, or is it something else?
I think it's probably because of an indoctrination we get growing up about how scary nuclear shit is. Like watching Hiroshima and Nagasaki is super scary. Anytime there's a nuclear disaster, it gets more coverage than than fucking like any other type of disaster. Like, have you heard of like the Fukushima shit?
Is that the reactor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that place. And don't they have? That's where the fish come from, right?
I'm sure there are fish there, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if they're, I'm just curious. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to guess, like how many people died during the Fukushima nuclear disaster?
I think it was like 20 people.
Okay. That's a conservative estimate. It was 0. Maybe one guy died later from lung cancer.
No, I'm pretty sure some of the employees died.
Nope.
Weren't there some people who had to turn off the radio? It was like some brave thing. I'm pretty sure I saw it in a movie. It was some old Asian people who like stayed behind to make sure the reactor went off, and they died from it later.
Fukushima was, I think one person died. I think one person died because of like lung cancer later on. That might have been the person you're thinking of, but otherwise there were no direct deaths. Like, yeah.
Okay.
That but there's but yeah, but like that's like one of the worst disasters of all time. Like, but people just like lose their mind when it comes to nuclear related stuff. So yeah.
Got you. Well, didn't that shit happen because of a tsunami or something?
Yeah, it was a huge tsunami incident. I think there were probably incidents with safety at the plant as well. I'd have to go back and check, but yeah. But also, a lot of the nuclear reactors that are running in the U.S. are like old as fuck too. These reactors are like 40 or 50 years old because we don't want to build any new ones. So of course they've got more safety issues. Yeah, it's just annoying. But
I feel like I've always heard about the energy crisis since I was a young person, just because they kept saying like, "Oh, global warming, this stuff like that," and it always feels like it's getting pushed back. But I think as a result of recent war, I've really become a little bit more interested in the topic itself. And I'm wondering, when do you think it's gonna actually become a full-on mainstream topic where everyone's gonna have to deal with it at some point?
I don't know. You need like a mainstream politician pushing it. And I don't think anybody wants to right now.
Gotcha. Anything else?
Good one. Yeah, I don't know. I wish we would have more serious conversations about nuclear, but I'm pretty sure like even in Europe, aren't they taking steps back? Like, didn't Germany shut off like some of their nuclear power plants in order to go back to coal-fired shit?
Yep. Even though people want to remove their dependence off a lot of the stuff coming from, Russia or Ukraine or whatever it is, I feel like they haven't actually taken any actionable steps. And my issue, I don't know if this is accurate, but it seems as though most politicians are really concerned with their terms and making sure that they come out efficiently. And I think planning for the future that far ahead would be very expensive and I think much more difficult than people realize. And so it's like huge long-term projects that would take 30 to 40 years. A lot of politicians today just wouldn't want to invest the time into that because they wouldn't be the ones who benefit from it.
Yeah, that's the issue as well, is that I think the nuclear power plants, because right now we're having a huge surge of it's LNG. Is it liquid natural gas? I think whatever LNG, like the natural gas stuff or liquefied natural gas, it's a much cleaner source of energy. It's much cheaper than a lot of green energies right now. It's easy to like burn as you want. You don't have to wait for the sun to rise, and then and they're cheaper to build. I think nuclear outperforms LNG reactors. Or I shouldn't say an LNG reactor. A nuclear reactor will outperform an LNG plant after like 10 or 20 years, but it takes a while to recoup the investment. So, yeah.
It's all about the money at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the time horizon too. And humans are really bad with long time horizons, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably have a hard time re-electing a politician who's like, bro, this plan I'm putting in place is going to be amazing in 30 years if we're struggling right now from an economic standpoint, right? I think people are so like, paycheck to paycheck or just thinking about their finances all the time. It'd be hard for them to ever be able to see that horizon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, always a pleasure chatting, brother. You have yourself a good one.
Have fun. Be careful, buddy. I love you. Putin cut deal with Wagner chief to save his skin. MI6 head says. Prague. It was a rare moment when the publicly visible Kremlin matched the reality behind closed doors. That is according to the head of Britain's MI6, who in a rare speech in Prague gave the first confirmation from Western intelligence that the boss of private military group Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, did indeed strike a deal with Putin to end his advance on Moscow during the failed rebellion of June 24th, and he had, it seemed, been welcomed into the Kremlin to meet Putin days later. The MI6 chief, known as Prigozhin, also expressed some bafflement at the tremors around the Kremlin during the weekend and the speed in which loyalties were spurned and returned. If you look at Putin's behaviors on that day, Richard Moore said of June 24th, Prigozhin started off, I think, as a traitor at breakfast. He had been pardoned by supper, and then a few days later he was invited for tea. So there's some things that even the chief of MI6 finds it a little bit difficult to try and interpret in terms of who's in and who's out. Moore also gave a rare indication of the continued health and whereabouts of Prigozhin himself, whose characteristically profane and frequent audio messages published on Telegram have recently stopped. Asked by CNN if Prigozhin was alive and healthy, Moore replied, the Wagner leader was still floating around per his agency's understanding. Western intelligence agencies have been reticent to comment on the failed rebellion for fear of providing a false backbone to Russia's familiar excuse for internal dissent that it is arranged and fueled by Western spies. Yet the on-camera speech provided an opportunity for Moore's expression to convey how shocking the weakness betrayed by Putin that weekend had been. He really didn't fight back against Priggy, Moore said. He cut a deal to save his skin using the good offices of the leader of Belarus. He said, referring to the intervention of Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who struck the deal. So even I can't see inside Putin's head, he added. He has to have realized, I am sure that's something that is deeply rotten in the state of Denmark, to quote Hamlet, and he had to cut his deal. Moore added, it was difficult to make firm judgments about the fate of Wagner itself as a mercenary group, but they do not appear to be engaged in Ukraine, and that there appears to be elements of them in Belarus. Moore chose the city of Prague, which he remarked as the last European capital of Russian tanks roll into it before Ukraine, as a venue for a speech. He began with an unusually open appeal to Russians silently appalled by the sight of their armed forces pulverizing Ukrainian cities, expelling innocent families from their homes, and kidnapping thousands of children to spy for the United Kingdom. I invite them to do what others have already done for the past 18 months and join hands with us. Their secrets will always be safe with us, and together we will work to bring the bloodshed to an end. It was an abnormally public appeal that fit the upended global geopolitics forged by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. While Moore maintained that China is absolutely complicit in the invasion because of its continued support of the Kremlin head, he added that Iran's support for Russia has caused division in its most senior officials. Iran is clearly keen to make as much cash as it can out of the situation, he said, and while Iran is notably selling drones that usually hit civilian targets, he added, it will sell anything it can spare and it thinks it can get away with. Wow.
I had an interesting experience the other day, and I wanted to get your thoughts about it.
You had a what experience?
Interesting experience.
Oh, bruv, I'm all about those interesting experiences. Hit me up, what you got?
Dig that. So I was sitting on my back porch, and I was smelling some weed, and there's some guys that I saw that were chiefing. And so I was drinking a little bit, and I walked over, and I was like, hey, guys, you're going to make the whole place smell, or you're going to share? So they're like, oh, come up. And so there was one white guy, that earrings, looked about, 26 or so. Then a black guy looked about 25, and then two Mexican guys that looked about 23. And
I'm not going to ask how you can discern all their ages with unerring accuracy, like you've got a cybernetic eye implant, but go ahead.
You're right. I honestly, they looked older.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, and so right off the bat, they're like, hey, just want to let you know we're a little racist. And they were all, laughing. We're having a good time. And that kind of threw me off because I was like, okay, I kind of feel like this is where this is going. And then they all started calling each other the N-word. And it was normal, and they were buddies. And this is the first time I was around that. And I was like, it was weird, And I was like, do I get, because they were like looking at me like I was going to say it. And I'm like, it's I don't know. If you were in that situation, would you have said it?
No, why? I don't know these people well enough. Why would I risk getting my ass beat by dropping N-bombs around random people that I don't know? That sounds like the worst idea in the world, yeah.
And I didn't, but it was, I don't know, it was just
what? Why just hang out with them? Why do you feel pressure to use their slang? Just let them chill or do whatever.
No, I didn't feel any pressure, but I did feel a little pressure, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that just, I talked to different friends about it, and some friends were like, yeah, we do that all the time. And then I talked to other friends, and they're like, no, that's fucking retarded, Those guys are going to get their ass beat if they do that outside of their friend group. And I was like, that makes sense.
It might depend on wait, can you tell me what state you're in?
I'm in Idaho.
Oh, shit. Okay, it might be similar because when I was up in Washington, and I don't know if all these Northwestern states are the same. When I was up in Washington, there's kind of It's kind of hard to explain, but there's like a weird thing where the black people there are very progressive, and because of that, sometimes they don't trust a lot of the white people. So anytime you're kind of like making yourself known in a new group of black friends, when they're all looking to you and they're like using the N-word, usually what's understood is they're usually recording at the time. And what they want is they want you to use the N-word for them so that they have a recording of you doing it, so that if you do any like weird white supremacist shit, they can out you on Twitter. It's kind of like a bonding exercise where it's like, hey, I'm comfortable enough to use the N-word around you, and then you can record it, and then if I do some shit, you can out me on Twitter later so that you get like your racial revenge on me. So that might have been what they were looking for.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like that because the white guy was saying it too, and it didn't feel nefarious, which was, it was just that's how they talk to each other. Because I've been around those other type of people because my cousin lives in Portland and I visit her sometimes, and it's
okay. Well, wait, hold on. I was just kidding. I made that all up. That's
what I thought.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be good faith.
Okay. There is a store though that I've been to in Boise. Do you live anywhere near there?
Yeah, I'm in the Treasure Valley.
Okay, you've got a restaurant that literally just serves like 30 different kinds of French fries. And it's
yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Well, there's a couple different places. There's like Boise Fry. I can't remember the name.
They were like purple potato French fries. It was so good.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, that restaurant was awesome. Sorry, but anyway.
No, you're good. I have like 4 different types of fries in my freezer right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one other thing that I was thinking about, and I was like, I wanted to tell you, but that last guy was kind of insufferable, or not the last caller.
True. He was. I agree.
How often do you smoke? Do you like go like a couple months in between, or like every night, or
once a month, or every couple months, or something? It's pretty rare.
Do you do like a lot, or is it just like
Usually, if I'm with a friend, I want to chill, and they smoke, I might, but it's not too common, yeah.
Okay. Do you have? Is it really intense, or do you do? Is it just you vibing and having a good time? Sometimes
it can be kind of intense. I try not to go super hard though. I usually just smoke a bit to like chill. The problem is, me and weed is very boring. I usually just like calm down a ton, and I'll like fall asleep if I'm not careful. Like it's not, yeah.
Oh, because when I go like a month without smoking, and I do, like one big old bowl and a bong of salvia. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm on acid or something. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, if you smoke a lot, that can happen. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, anything else? Oh, he said salvia. Wait, did you say salvia?
No. But last time we talked about salvia.
Oh. Okay. Well, hey, listen, it's been a wild ride. Thanks for the conversation, my dude.
Yeah, big bet. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about.
Fuck it. Okay, hit me up. Yeah, what do you got? Yeah.
Bet. So I like I watch a lot of the First Amendment auditor videos, and some of it goes back and forth where it's like, I understand that I completely not saying anything to the cops, and being that guy when you go through a DUI checkpoint, you have like your window rolled up and all your stuff in a bag so they can see it, but they can't touch it or anything. And then the other side of it's where it's like, the majority of the time, if you have nothing to hide and you're just talking and being normal, and you're probably going to get a warning, at worst you're going to get a ticket and whatnot. But then sometimes I feel like it comes down to the intention of the cop. Of if he's, has good intentions, or he's just, doesn't like something about you or whatnot. And I don't know. There was something in there I wanted to talk to you about, but now I feel like I'm just rambling.
Well, yeah, I don't know. What is your question?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Do you think it's better to talk to the police, or are you lean more towards I don't have to speak to you. This is my more of don't say anything, or it's like the second you get into interrogation, yes, a lawyer up immediately. But before that, it's like most of the time it's better to be communicative with cops or authority or whatnot. Yeah, that's kind of my question.
What was the question there?
I need to drink something.
Wait, did I just hear a knock on your door?
No, that was me going over a baby gate.
I thought I heard the door knock in the background.
So, when it comes to like talking to police, do you lean towards more of the side of I don't have to say anything to you, this is my right,
Oh yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're pulled over and what you want to say. Like I'll generally try to be as polite and cooperative with cops as possible, but that's because I know I don't have shit on me or anything like that. But I mean, like if a cop like pulls you over and is like asking questions about like some serious crime shit or some shit, I don't know. I mean, it's up to your personal tolerance. I mean, in general, you probably lean away from saying anything to the cops. It just depends, but
yeah. How would the police where you live with it?
Can I add to this dog shit call?
What are you talking about?
I want to add to his first thing and the last thing. I don't know about that second thing he was talking about with the weed, but when he was talking about the N-word and you trolled him, there actually was something a bit insightful about like assimilating with black groups of friends. Yeah. Like there's this phenomenon where like I know that in social situations, if you're in a group of people, they start adapting each other's vernacular, right? Mm-hmm. But like the black and Ebonics is so far from like regular like white speech that it's almost like visceral when a person is like deciding in their brain if they should like call you homie or dog, sure, or maybe the N-word. So like you could watch out for that, I guess. Trippy guy. I'm just gonna call you Trippy guy because that works.
Can I give you my very limited experience with black people? Here's like a phenomenon that I kind of notice in real life. I think it happens I've seen it happen with black people and gay people. And you can tell me, Evil Fossil is a black man, okay? If you feel this way, if you don't feel this way, whatever, I'm just kind of curious. If you're a white guy and you're hanging out with a group of black people, I feel like there is kind of a stronger distinction between here's a hypothetical. If I was a white dude and I made friends with like a group of black people and we're all just like kind of casual, I feel like I'm probably never saying like the N-word in that setting. I just don't know if it would work out that way. But when you have like one black guy who's friends with a lot of white people, it almost feels like that black guy, I don't want to say it's like self-hatred or something that dramatic, but it almost feels like his buy-in to the group is like letting them do it. Another example I can think of this is like a gay guy in a group of straight friends sometimes will like encourage them, like, oh yeah, you can say faggot, like it's fine, like that's cool or whatever, like I don't care, whatever. Do you think that dynamic is true, or do you think that dynamic is not true at all? Do you know what I mean by that? I think it's true.
No, it's definitely true. I don't think what do you call it? Like I don't think it's like
internalized racism or self-hatred, but like the group buy-ins are a little bit different. Yeah,
it's definitely a thing. The buy-ins is definitely a thing, and the black person, I think the way I call it when I meet a black person who do that, I just be like, you validation seeking is mad easy. Like it's just easy validation sitting out there to let white people say.
To be clear, hold on, because members of my black community are upset. I have at least one confirmed black man in chat who says in all caps, "You are off the perk. What? I have never seen this in my life." There you go.
Yeah, you wildin'. I mean,
I don't know.
Define his black. Yeah.
Define his blackness. My experience in high school, there was a black guy, and he it almost felt like everybody was making black jokes around him, and it kind of felt like he had to play along, otherwise people wouldn't like him. But it feels similar because I knew there was a gay guy that worked at a carpet cleaning shop who also did that. He used like F-slur and stuff a lot and encouraged us to do it. And I feel like if there's like one fat guy in a group, I feel like it happens too, where if you're the minority in the group, you kind of encourage people to make fun of you, and that's like a little bit of your buy-in. But maybe it doesn't happen all the time, or maybe those are just my examples, and it doesn't.
Nah, I feel like that's the fat thing too also happens, where it's like, oh, yeah, it's definitely unhealthy to be fat, even though they're sitting there like fat. And they honestly, sometimes they be healthier than the people around them, because the other people be either like got a whole bunch of different shit in their life that leads to less health in general. But they were like, whenever the fat thing comes up. Yeah, it's just. I see somebody in chat said it's a survival tactic. Honestly, yeah, you're right. Buy-ins is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to one of my other black friends about it, and he was totally chill with it. He's like, yeah, that's like, I don't really care. But he also was adopted by 2 white parents. And then my other black friend who's not from Idaho, it's completely like, no, nobody other than him says it around, it's like, I don't know. I was just interested. I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know about appealing
what
to
do I?
Yeah, I don't know about appealing to the black friends, bro. Just let them do what they do. Like, the whole point is not to, like, realize you're, like, in your brain when you're asking what to do, it's like you're you feel like you could win points in them situations. Like, you could just, it has nothing to do with you, bro. Especially if you don't want to be racist.
Well, yeah, and I've never, like, felt like I've wanted to say it in any type of situation. But when I was hanging out with those guys that night, it was like, the way they brought it up, they were like, hey, it was almost like you had to be there, but it was like they were, I don't know, I didn't end up saying it, but it was like,
I mean, when I was online, like when I have groups of friends, we'd be playing online, and yes, it was just a group of, and back in high school, when we'd be playing online, like World of Warcraft or League, if we was to invite somebody to, like, I guess back then it would be like Skype or Ventrilo, but like Discord, right? And you're talking to voice chat. It would be an inside thing for us to just wait for him to, like, of the white person to Freudian slip some N-word, and like we will actually try to neg it out of them. That could be possible too. Like, and I know that this sounds troll, but it's literally a thing. So I wouldn't, like I said, you don't want to leave yourself open to situations like that. I honestly don't see the value in even asking this question in a social situation.
Well, the question wasn't of should I have said it. It was more of like, well, I don't know. Maybe that was the question.
I wanted to tell you also, and I'm just be quick with the third one with the cops, bro. The only thing cops could ever do is escalate until somebody dies or get locked up. Like, there's no, like, why do you want anything other, like, any kind of cohesion from cops? It's just not a thing, bro.
So my question is in order to not escalate, is it better to sometimes give up your rights and just, talk normal, tell the truth?
Yes, because the cops have a lot of systems in place for you to complain or you to follow through. And I mean, honestly, that's like the white thing to do, I guess. Like, only a white person is really going to call and complain after they got, like, harassed by the cops. But you can do that, bro. Like, in the situation, there's no reason why you should ever be, like, asserting any values or acting out of line when you're already, like, in a situation with cops. You're in a system that is put there to control you. I don't understand why you want to express so much.
Yeah. So is it like the only time that you would, like, I don't want to say, in quote, be difficult, but like express your rights and, not talk as much? Is it if you were actually, rolling dirty or hiding something, or, is it if a cop has a bad intention, it doesn't matter how, honest you are, they think you're lying. And then in that case, it would have been better for you to, actually, use your rights and be like, no, I'm not going to speak to you until my lawyer's here, or just give me the ticket. I don't have to tell you where I'm going or coming from, or is it like if the cops are harassing you, that's kind of like,
well, you got to look at it this way. It don't, like, what's the best that can happen to you, bro? Like, if the cop had bad intention, the best you can do is fuck it up for yourself. And like, even if the cop had good intention, you could still fuck it up for yourself. Like, there's nothing where the cop could just leave you alone. That's the best case scenario. Then just don't talk to him. If you, like, really want that to be the quickest way, to resolve the situation, just don't talk, bro. Like, so I don't understand why you, like, have this complex in your head, or you constantly thinking about talking or interacting with the cops outside of just, like, they're trained to interact with you from putting you in jail, killing you, or letting you go. Like, I don't understand. This is all they're trained for.
So, back to my question is, what would you do in that? So, does it just depend on the situation? Depends on what you do. So, what situation?
Just always shut up, bro. just always shut up with the cops. Just
So-
always shut up, unless you're the one who called them and you need help.
Wow, Frederick Lighthouse, thanks for the 5 gifted subs. Somebody gifted 5 earlier, and I think I missed it.
Do you agree with that take, Destiny? That it's like just shut up when the cop comes and you know they knock on the window and you know, no, here's my license.
I mean, I think depending on how you get pulled over, like cops can show a lot of discretion. If you're very ornery, if you are very combative, they're going to throw whatever at you because they're an asshole.
Yeah.
But there could also be a
Because I feel with Evil Fossil's take that, you know...
Go, Frank, I'm being a little bit evil, bro. I talk to the cops because I got a PBA card, bro. So, like,
Well, whenever I get
cops,
pulled
so I
over-
get away with it, bro.
I talk, too, just because it's easier and, you know, I usually don't have anything to hide, and if I do...
Wait, what is a
it
PBA
would be-
card?
It's the card, like, you like, is it PBA? Let me pull the card out here, right? The Captain's Endowment Association card, what we call it. So my
What does it
sister
do?
is a police captain. It's just a courtesy card. Like you pull out the card, you be like, "Here, look, my sister's a police captain. You could call this number and you could talk to her. And then if if it's just a minor infraction or if it's something small, they'll just like wave it off and be like, yeah, you're a person in society. We're not gonna mess with you and just leave you alone."
Jesus.
It's reparations. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Literally. All right, well, that's me adding. I'm get out of here. Popcorn, yum.
Dumbass.
So,
Love you too, son.
you're definitely more of an atheist than agnostic, correct?
Probably, yeah.
So you believe you lean towards more we can know if there is or isn't a God, and we know that there isn't, then we don't know if there is.
Sorry, I was looking for a porn video. Say it one more time. What were you saying?
So you believe we more definitively that there isn't a God than more of a chance that we don't know enough to know that there.
I mean, technically, what you would call me is I would be an agnostic atheist. Is technically what you would call me.
Okay,
I'm agnostic because I would say we can't have knowledge of whether or not there's a higher power or not, and I'm an atheist because I don't believe in a higher power. So.
Okay, so it's. Would you say that you, if there is a higher power, it's something that what people call a higher power isn't even close to what? It's just there's no point of even talking about it because it's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can't have information about it. Wait, how are you still in here? You're the guy. Oh my god, you're really milking this, huh? Yeah, no, I have no. I don't think you can have any information about like a higher power. Yeah.
Okay. So you definitely. So there's like no benefit to.
No benefit to what?
I'm just trying to picture, like, is the worldview of...
Is normal the hardest difficulty?
Having God in the picture somewhere, however you define, the picture of your worldview, is it more beneficial or is it like...
Wait, what?
Having God as a something within you, because if you're atheist, you say it's not... There's something out there that we wouldn't even know, but it's like... So, yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking as I'm talking. I have
You're good.
My speech level's in the 63rd percentile, and my abstract thinking is in the 93rd percentile.
Well, I mean, you're still beating half the people, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But
it sucks because I'm thinking way faster than I'm speaking, and I sound like a schizo. Can't even get a sentence out sometimes. Yeah, so the question was, is there any benefit? So you basically say, in your worldview, it's not only that we can't know if there is a God, there is most likely isn't some sort of being out there. Or I shouldn't even say being, some sort of thing out there that is influencing it from... Yeah, I'm just trying to get your definition of how you would define atheist. Like...
and then a person that states they don't believe in God, I think, right?
Yeah, but how would you define God? Is it like a divine creator? Is it
something like that? Yeah.
Okay, how do you define like divine and creators? Like, I'm trying to get your worldview. How do you picture it? There's just nothing.
Well, usually when people talk about divine or creator, they're talking about some immaterial, non-physical thing that exists in a way that somehow influences our existence today. That seems to be what people are talking about. So, and like, I don't believe in immaterial and non-physical things, or if they exist, I don't think you can have knowledge of them. So.
Well, I think, and I agree. I think thinking that there's some fairy dust thing out there, but is there something that's within the physical that's built into the framework that has some sort of function? Like, I hate using the word "like that" because it feels like it brings in so many different connotations. But it's
what is your definition of God?
Okay, so like I think it's something it's something that could potentially like it's like the end of the rainbow type thing, and so I think about like the end of time or the Big Bang. It's like the beginning and the end of, and it's something that we're slowly trying to figure out by building these big telescopes, and it's so like I picture in the future when we get to a technology that can go back and perfectly look through the time and rebuild all the atoms, has some perfect AI system where we can go and almost like view our consciousness from like our perspective, and it's almost like it's like the idea of when you close your eyes, it's like you die, it's like, oh, you just go to the end. It's like, or do we just never get there? Well, in the hypothetical we get there, it's like, would that be God? I don't know.
Would it be God if we got to the end of the rainbow?
No, that's the end of time. Where we got to a point technologically where we could rebuild, go all through time and basically omnipresence all through time, where we can go back and look at everything because we have some sophisticated AI that can remap all of the atoms and restructure them and view them from, some crazy and future technology, what is that what we would picture as God? Or I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly what. Yeah, I don't know what your definition is. I don't know what the answer is to any of your questions.
No, you're right. I can't even formulate the question. I've looked at...
Okay, well, think about this, and then...
Yeah,
and then come back to me and let me know, okay?
Okay. I feel better because I was worried... I was wondering if you weren't going to say you had some sort of agnostic part of you, and you were just going to say, no, I'm straight atheist. We have the ability to... we understand enough to confirmatively say there's no such thing or existence or possibility of some sort of thing, material or immaterial, whatever definition you would have for God. You're an agnostic atheist.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind, okay?
Okay, me too.
Okay, good luck. Have fun.
Okay, you have a good one. Bye.
See you next time, bucko.